Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah and I wanted to start a new little series that is Author Spotlight. So in these videos, I have a few authors already picked out and it's going to be kind of like an ongoing thing that I want to read books from and talk about authors that I really enjoy and I think a lot of people could really enjoy, but I don't think that they're getting as much hype as they should. So like I said, I have a few authors picked out. I have a historical fiction author, I have a YA dystopian author, and I have a fantasy author so far. So the YA dystopian one is more, his books are talked about, but there's a series that he's written that I think was really fantastic and my husband really enjoyed as well. It actually was one of my husband's favorite series for a very long time and still is one of his favorite series. And it's just one that you don't hear about. I don't think it gets hyped up enough. I never see it on YouTube. And then the other ones are authors that I just never really see anybody talk about. So I'm going to, in this video, I'm going to spotlight one of these authors. Now, the one for this video that I chose is none other than David Dalglish. Now, if you've been around my channel a little bit, you probably have heard me talk about David Dalglish. He wrote the Vagrant Gods trilogy that I read last year. It was in my top books of the year, one of my top favorite fantasies of all time. I absolutely loved it. And I never hear anybody talk about those books. And I think it's really unfortunate because they're really, really good. But this book right here is called The Radiant King. This book came out last Tuesday. And it's his newest series. And so with this video, I'm going to read this book and talk to you guys about this book. And I would like to also potentially read the other series I have from him, which is one of his backlist series. And I'd like to read those as well and just binge read all of them, so that way I have more that I could talk to you about content-wise. But I'm going to start with this one. I have read the first 20 or so pages in this. Yeah, 20 pages. I am on chapter 3. This one, it says, 6 immortal siblings, 5 sworn to peace, and 1 who demands a throne. Radiance, the mysterious power of life and creation, is theirs to command. Death cannot claim them. For hundreds of years, the ever-living ruled with ease. Yet when the world is nearly broken beneath their reign, the 6 siblings swear a vow. They will sit upon no thrones, wear no crowns, and no longer teach humanity the gifts of radiance. But after centuries of peace, Eder rejects their vow, anoints himself voice of father, and spreads a new cruel faith across the land. Farron cannot allow such indiscretion. Returning from a self-imposed exile, he swears to crush Eder's kingdom, and he will not do so alone. Sariel, their cold and calculating brother, knows all too well that an ever-living dominion is bound for brutality and destruction. But to overthrow a nation, they will need more than each other. They will need an army. So it sounds really fantastic, and I will say the first 20 pages of this does not waste any time. So your first chapter, or I should say your prologue in this book, is where you kind of meet a couple of the siblings to start with. You meet Sariel, you meet Farron, and what's happening is that Sariel is helping to create the pyre that will burn Farron alive to have him basically be reborn from the ashes at some point in the near future. And so either way, he is helping to set up the pyre to burn his brother alive. That's your prologue. And then it comes in with chapter 1 where Farron has woken up and he doesn't know how long it's been and he's trying to figure that out. And then within literally the first 2 chapters, he meets a preacher in the woods and he asks him if he can share his fire, and this preacher basically ends up trying to kill him. So it doesn't take any time whatsoever for this book to kick off, and I will say that is one thing that I loved with the Vagrant Gods trilogy, is he does not waste time in getting your attention and throwing you face first into these books, and I love that about his writing. If you don't want a whole bunch of build up, a whole bunch of world building, a whole bunch of explanations right at the very beginning, this author, at least for the Vagrant Gods trilogy and this one, like, he just throws you in. And I love that so much. So I am going to continue reading this today. Like I said, I'm 20 pages in. I'm going to try and binge read this one as much as I can today, see how far I get. I'm super excited to read this. I picked this up last Tuesday and I've just been putting it off, like trying to get this video started and get things going for this video because I knew I wanted to do this, but I'm itching to pick it up. So I am going to read some more of this today. This book isn't excessively long. It is 514 pages. So it's like you know, what you'd expect from a fantasy book, especially the first in the series. And I'll have to look it up. I don't know when or if the other books are announced yet or when they're supposed to be coming out. But this, like I said, this one just came out on Tuesday, which was March 4th, right? I think. That, right then. And so it's a start of a whole new series from him. And so I'm really excited to pick it up. And so yeah, I am going to do some reading in this today. I will come back and update you once I get a little bit further in and I have a little bit better grasp of what's going on and what's happening in this story. And like I said, my goal with this is to hopefully try and turn you guys on to some new authors and some new books that maybe you wouldn't have tried before. So I'm really excited for this, and I'm going to go and hunker down and drink my coffee that has been sitting up here this entire time and read some more of The Radiant King. Hey guys, so it is a little while later and I am up to part 2 in The Radiant King, which is chapter 11, page 85. And so far, I am really liking his writing. And I'm really intrigued to see what happens. So basically, with this book, Farron wakes up. It has been 70 years since he was last alive and conscious. And he finds in the space around him, he says that before he's had animal companions of ravens and crows and birds of different species, and he likes birds, but this time he decided to make an animal companion out of a coyote that was half starved. And in meeting this coyote and communicating with her as he does at the very beginning, he decides to call her Iris and says that basically sometimes he will help feed her or he will feed her, and then other times she will hunt for him, and they're gonna help each other out, and he's gonna help keep her safe and she's going to reciprocate basically. And she agrees to it in her own way as a coyote would. And so he has this animal companion of a coyote that he names Iris. And so he ends up meeting up with his brother, finding out that their other brother, Eden, what's his name? Eater, finds out that their other brother, Eater, is taken advantage of humanity and the powers of radiance that they have within them to become like this religious icon, this religious figure to the people. And they've agreed as a family, him and his siblings have agreed as a family that they will not take any kind of kingship, they won't take any thrones, any crowns, and they won't teach humanity the gifts of radiance. So now Eater has gone against that and is betrayed his family basically, and so Farron and his brother Sariel have decided that they need to take out their brother. And so we're following the perspectives of these different family members, these different siblings. We've gotten perspectives from Sariel, we've gotten mainly the perspective from Farron, and then we've also had Eater and their sister Kaluna. Kaluna is like the psycho bitch that is Jason Momoa in Fast 10. Like Fast and the Furious 10. You know when he's freaking sitting poolside and he's got these like dead bodies that he's painting their freaking nails and shit? Like, yeah, that is the sister Kaluna that from the chapter that I just read. That's kind of freaking psycho. And so that's messed up. But yeah, so we're following perspectives from the siblings, but mainly we're following Farron. And Farron had been asked by Sariel to go to this specific town, find a room, and wait for him to show up. So Farron goes and he meets this family, and this family, their oldest son is called Bartholomew, and he has it in his head that he wants to help this princess that I can't remember her name right now. Either way, he is in favor of having this princess kind of take over because she's supposed to be like goddess touched or something like that, like gifted by the gods. And Farron doesn't really want to say too much because he's just like, yeah, okay, this is just a kid. He's got really, really high expectations, and he has the ability to either do something good, but he also has the ability to do something really, really stupid. And so while he's there and he meets this family and he meets Bartholomew, he also hears about their grandfather. Now the grandfather has some dementia or something going on, that he's got issues, that he can't always remember everything correctly. And come to find out, the reason for that is because basically what happens is when you die, your soul starts to lift up to the heavens and then basically comes back down and you're reincarnated. And as you get older, you start to have memories from all these different past lives that you've lived, all these past people that you knew that it could have been dead for quite some time, but you're starting to have all these memories, and that's kind of what causes this dementia. And so he ends up helping the grandfather. Farron ends up helping the grandfather in the middle of the night by clearing out those extra memories. He makes all those memories fade out so that the grandfather kind of comes back to himself and can be there for his family. And then he leaves, so that way it's not something that's like drawing attention to himself. And as he continues on his like journey and whatnot, Bartholomew actually ends up following him and finding him. And now we're at the point where Bartholomew actually just helped wake him up because there are fairies in this book, and they put Farron to sleep and said, we trusted your brother and he betrayed us. We're not going to make the same mistake twice. And so Bartholomew ends up saving him, and he tells Bartholomew that he will see some crazy shit, but don't tell anybody about it because I don't want to draw attention to myself. And if you do that, then you can come with me and I'll help you and we'll do this together. And we'll go and see this princess and, you know, do all these things. So he agrees. And that's where we're at now. So it's kind of like a really, really fast condensed version of what's happened so far, but it's kind of hard to get into all the details and like follow all the things obviously without giving too much away, which I don't think I'm really giving away too much considering that I'm not even 100 pages into the book. This book is only a little over 500 pages. So I still have quite a ways to go. There's still a lot of things that are going to happen. I'm not going to be able to tell you as much as the story goes on. But so far I am really enjoying it. I am really intrigued. I like that he has this companion in Iris and that it's a little bit different from what you see in other books. And I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with Farron and Bart and their story and how Bart's going to grow up. With Farron and his siblings, they're ever living. They are immortal. They are magical. They are a special kind of being where they're the special kind of power that keeps them from growing old or from dying or whatever. But if you're going to have some kind of a growth in the book, Bart's going to be the one who's going to do it. So I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with this. I have no clue what the heck to think about Kaluna's chapters, but I'm curious. It definitely has me interested in what the heck is going on with her, because she's like the neutral sister that like she's still keeping in touch with Eater and still keeping in touch with Sariel, and so she's kind of like trying to play both sides and wanting everybody to come together as a family again, but she's also kind of crazy. So I don't really know what to think about her chapters, but I'm definitely intrigued. I am enjoying it. Like I said, I love David Dalglish's writing. He doesn't waste any time with a lot of build up and stuff. He just kind of throws you into the middle of it, throws you into the magic system and kind of just guides you along the way with the way that he builds his worlds. And I really like that. So there's parts of this that it kind of reminds me a little bit in pieces of like the adventure, the traveling of like The Hobbit at the very beginning of the movie, where they're just kind of like traveling through the towns, or even like Lord of the Rings, where they're like traveling to the different towns and talking to people at the bars and the taverns and stuff. It kind of reminds me a little bit of that so far, just because that's kind of all that's happened right now. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen next. So like I said, at this point I am 85 pages into it, so I'm not all that far from the looks of it, but I am enjoying it. And I really hope that this one is going to be as huge of a win for me as his other books. It's definitely off to a good start. And I think once things start picking up more and start happening more, that I'm going to be even more intrigued, because right now it's a little bit on the slow side, because I feel like for 85 pages, not a ton has happened. But at the same time, when I think back on it to try and like explain to you some of the plot that's happened so far, I feel like I'm missing a lot too. So I am enjoying this, and I'm going to continue reading this, and I'm going to try and get as far as I can tonight in this. I will check in with you guys when I get to part 3. At least that's what I'm going to plan on, and give you some more thoughts on The Radiant King now that I've been talking for 15 minutes about this book. And so yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to get some stuff done, and then I will check back in with you once I get further. Hey, what's up guys? So it has been a few days, but I wanted to come on here and update you because I'm still reading The Radiant King, and I just finished part 2. It is now Saturday. And I just finished part 2, so I am up to chapter 23, which is 187 pages into this book now, and I'm still really enjoying it. This book has so much action. Part 2 is basically that Farron and Sariel are now following Princess Isabel, and she is going to war to try and put a stop to the father and all of his followers, all the priests and stuff like that came after Farron in the beginning. And Sariel and Farron are like the hot shots in this war because they have the radiance within them, and so they're obviously more powerful fighters, and they're able to see in the dark easier, and they obviously have lots and lots of experience in different wars. Not that anybody knows this, but they've had years upon years of experience with war and with fighting, and so they're definitely huge assets. So Bart is still with Farron, as well as of course Iris the coyote. She is definitely still a big part of the book, which is great. I absolutely love that the animal companion in this book is a coyote, but he also, like, because he gave her radiance, she's a little bit bigger and like stronger than regular coyotes are. And so she's an intimidating figure in her and of herself. It's definitely action-packed. There's a lot going on. We're finding out is that as we go on that there is a little bit more to Isabel than what we expected. So she's obviously not like your regular princess, because she's not just hiding away letting her men fight the war for her. She is front and center in this war. She is in the middle of it. She's in the thick of things. But Sariel and Farron have noticed that she seems like she has a little bit of radiance within her, and they're not entirely sure how that is, because supposedly she's blessed by the goddess Leliel. It's Leliel, like Leliel, kind of a different name. But supposedly she was blessed by the goddess Leliel, and they're noticing that she has what seems like a little bit of radiance in her, and they don't know entirely how she got that. So they're starting, especially Sariel is starting to wonder about it, because the pact that he made with his siblings was that their radiance would stay among the siblings and not go to the humans, because the humans would be corrupted by it, I guess is the best way to put it. It would cause corruption within the humans, and so they didn't want any of the radiance to go to the humans for that reason, because it would turn things into just a bloodbath and a disaster. And so they didn't want the humans to get the radiance. But obviously at this point, the humans, or the priests, have gotten the radiance through the brother Eden, or Eater. I don't know why I keep wanting to say Eden. Through Eater. And so yeah, it's really interesting so far. We did have one section that it was from Eater's perspective, that he goes down to like below his towers and stuff like that, like down into like the depths of the city, and meets this guy that he says that when they're drinking in the taverns, that he needs to kind of get out and listen from a distance or whatever and be away from it, and ask for kind of a blessing from the father, from Eater, and not realizing who he was. And he had a whole lot of different past lives combining in his mind to kind of make his thoughts jumbled, just like what Farron experienced. But unlike Farron, Eater looks into him's being, into this guy, and sees that he was a murderer in like a past life. And he actually uses it to completely hold it over this guy and cause him complete grief. He says that you will forever be seeing this guy's death that was caused by your hand. And so instead of trying to help him and trying to make things better for him, he actually makes it worse and just focuses it onto that. So it shows the differences between the brothers in that way. So I'm not quite halfway through yet, but I am really, really enjoying this. I think that the radiance and the magic that's within this world is really, really interesting. He doesn't waste a lot of time with a lot of world building or a lot of like descriptions of things or anything like that. You're just kind of thrown into the story and you learn it as you go. And that makes it really fast-paced feeling. So like not everything is completely fast-paced. It kind of gets a little bit slow here and there, but there's enough going on to keep you intrigued. And by switching perspectives between Farron, Sariel, and even Eater and the sister Kaluna. So switching perspectives like he does, usually you're just going back and forth between Farron and Sariel, and they are together with fighting this war. But you also get little glimpses of Kaluna and Eater, who are on the other side of things. And it makes it really, really interesting, kind of breaks up our pace a little bit. I took a few days off of reading this, and now I'm back to it, and I'm going to continue. So I am going to continue with this today, and I will try and check back in with you when I get to part 4, because I'm starting part 3. Part 3 is only, I don't know, maybe 60 or so pages long. So it won't be very long before I am at that point and I can come back and update you. I'm not even sure how many parts this book has, but I've found that it's kind of a good stopping point to kind of come in, check in with you, give you my thoughts as things go. I'm really excited because I think at this point we're kind of getting into the thick of things, we're getting into the middle of things, and I think things are going to start to pick up and get even more interesting. So once again, like I said, I love his writing. I love the way that he kicks things off and throws you right into the middle of it, and he gives you the descriptions and makes you see the world, but it's not like really wordy, to me at least. I don't feel like it's really wordy because there's a lot of things going on, and he kind of subtly includes that world building and the descriptions of places. And the way that he's doing it with this one is he's like, well, we go to this city and Farron saw it when it was originally built, or saw this castle when it was originally built, but that was 300 years ago or X amount of years ago, and now it's very different. And so he kind of like puts a little bit of that world building in as you go, but it's not like throwing it in your face and like it's not overdone. Or at least I don't feel like it is. I'm going to keep reading, and I will check back in with you guys once I get to the beginning of part 4 to try and give you some more updates. But now it's going to get a little bit more difficult because I don't want to give too many spoilers. Hey, what's up guys? So it's a little after 9 o'clock and I wanted to come on one more time to give you an update today. I just made it to part 4, and at this point I can't really tell you anything because then it's going to be spoilery and I don't want to do that. But let's just say that there are dragons in this section, or a dragon, and there are reveals, lots of little reveals in this section, and it made me very, very, very excited to keep reading. So I am at this point about halfway through the book, or just under halfway through the book, and it's so good. It's so good. So if I would like, if I was losing any interest in this book before part 3, then it's rekindled and I'm super into it again. I've been very distracted today. There's just been a lot going on with the kids. Not the greatest weather outside. It was kind of snowing, a little bit of rain, a little bit of snow. So everybody was kind of stuck inside today at home. So everybody was just kind of antsy. And so I've been very distracted in reading this. But luckily the part that like I just finished right before we start into part 4, I'm so glad that I was able to focus on it long enough, because there were some really great reveals at this portion of the book, and I'm really excited. So the kids are in watching Aquaman right now, but I'm going to keep on reading this. I don't know how far I'm going to get tonight, but I'm going to try and get as far as possible. Hopefully finish this up in the next few days. And I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see what happens. He has such a great way of keeping your interest throughout this book. Like, he throws in a lot of little tidbits and a lot of little reveals as you go, but like this portion, it's starting to get into the motives behind the characters and what they're doing and what their motives possibly might be. Like, we have no idea at this point, but there's so many reveals and it's so good. His writing is so intriguing and it's so phenomenal. It's so easy to follow his plot, and I love his books. And I mean, obviously this is why I'm doing this video. He inspired me. David Dalglish inspired me to start this video series for an author spotlight, because I feel like he just doesn't get the praise that I feel he deserves. I think he has really, really fantastic writing. Maybe not quite up there with John Gwynne, but pretty up there. Like, he's definitely become one of my favorite authors. And as much as I want to read this Soul Keeper trilogy that's back here kind of peeking out behind me in this video as well, I really want to finish this book up and be able to post this video so that way you guys can check out my first installment of this, and maybe I'll do a part 2 down the road. I have no idea, but at least for now I really wanted to read this, get this video posted since this book just came out, and I believe that this author deserves a lot of hype, and I don't think he gets it on YouTube. So like I said, I'm going to keep reading this. I'm in part 4, chapter 32, which is 249 pages into this book. So I am trucking right along, and I'm so excited to continue. And so yeah, I'm going to continue this tonight and tomorrow and until I finish it and I can get this video up for you guys. But I'm so excited to continue talking to you about it, trying not to spoil anything, which is why I'm not saying a whole lot, but it's definitely good and things are happening and I'm having a great time. I love it. I love it. So I will check back in with you at some point, hopefully tomorrow. But either way, I'm going to keep reading this and I will check back in with you either tomorrow or Monday. So that being said, hope you're enjoying your weekend and I will talk to you later. Hey, good morning guys. So it is a few days later, but I have finished The Radiant King by David Dalglish, and I didn't update you after I got to like right around the halfway point, or just after. I think it was like part 4, because I didn't want to give any spoilers, and at that point really anything I talked about could potentially be a spoiler. So that's why I figured that I would just stop updating you at each section and just finish out the book. So I finished this, it would have been Tuesday morning, and I really enjoyed this book. So I put it through Compile and the rating system Compile from Book G from Book Roast, and it came out as a 5-star. And I think in my mind, it's not quite at a 5-star. I think it's like a very, very high 4. So not quite at the 5-star. But either way, this book is so, so good. And I'm so excited to see what happens. So many things take place in this book. It got a little bit slow, kind of right around this point in the book. It got a little bit slow for me. And then it picked right back up again. Like, we finished that section and then it picked right back up into the action again. Crazy things happened. I was shocked. I was surprised. I was sad and upset and all the emotions. And I am so excited to see what happens next. I don't even know when the release date is for book 2 yet. I don't even know what the title is off the top of my head, but I will definitely be picking it up, and I really enjoyed it. So there's so many things that happen with this. Like I said, there's animal companions, there is a very unique magic system, there's creatures, there is war, there's fighting, there's a little bit of, I don't want to say romance, it's not really romance, it's more of just attraction. Some of it's a little weird at times. There's family aspects to this, good and bad. And this book really kind of has just a little bit of everything. And one thing I love with David Dalglish's books is at the beginning of his author's note, he talks a little bit about the process of writing this book and how he got to the point that he did. So he talks about how he had the idea for this one when he was writing books 2 and 3 of the Vagrant Gods trilogy. And then it just kind of kept forming. And I think that's really interesting to read. So in the author's note, he has a little bit about his writing process for the book as well as his thank yous. And I really like that aspect as well, just to kind of get a little bit of an insight into who wrote the book. And so I don't know, I just really, really enjoyed this. Like I said, things went absolutely haywire in the last 150 pages of this book, and shit completely hit the fan. And it was so much fun, and it was so intriguing, and I'm so excited to see what happens next. So this book, basically what it comes down to is the brother Eater is basically trying to become a king and force this religion and this way of life onto people and save them from their sins. And the brothers Sariel and Farron are trying to stop him because the rest of the siblings, Sariel, Farron, and their other 3 siblings, all made a pact that they would they would sit on no thrones, wear no crowns, they would not be any kind of position of power like that. And the only brother who didn't make that pact was Eater. And there are circumstances behind that and why he didn't take that oath. And it goes into that in this book. And it's so good. It's such an interesting magic system because all the siblings have what they call radiance. And it's a special kind of magic that can enhance their vision and make them stronger and faster and just all around a lot of different things. And the radiance is supposed to, according to them, stay within their family because humans can't handle it. And they kind of go rogue when they are able to access radiance. And this is basically looking at what happens when humans can get that and things that can go wrong. And there's just, like I said, there's just so much to this book, and it's so interesting and it's so intriguing. I love his writing style. He writes things so fast-paced that you can't help but get hooked right into the story. He does a lot of world building, but he does it in a very, very subtle way that you don't feel like you're getting a bunch of info dumping when you read his books. It's very subtle, and it just kind of, you're thrust into the story, and it just kind of takes shape around you, and you kind of figure things out as you go along. Part of the way that he does that with this one is Farron wakes up. Radiance allows them to never actually fully die. They are able to die and be resurrected. So in the prologue of this book, Farron is on a pyre that his brother lights, and he kills himself on a pyre. And 70 years later, he comes back and has to relearn the world that he is in now compared to where he left it after the 70 years. And that's part of the way that he does this world building, is that Farron is having to relearn all of this, and so you're kind of learning it alongside him of what's going on and how things are run and whatnot. And I think that was done in a really, really good way, because you don't feel like it's taking you out of the story. At least I didn't personally. So I really, really enjoyed this book. Whether you think of it as a high 4-star or a low 5-star, either way, I really, really enjoyed this. And I'm so incredibly excited to pick up the next book. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to my videos. I'd like to do more of these for various authors. I'd even like to read some more of David Dalglish's works, maybe do a part 2 of this video. And please let me know if I have inspired you to pick up his books, whether it be this one or his Vagrant Gods trilogy that you guys have probably heard me talk about if you have watched any of my videos. I would love to know if I was able to, in some small way, inspire you to pick up a new author, and hopefully it's one that you enjoy as well, because it's one that I've found that I really enjoy his writing style. So again, if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe down below, and I really hope to see you soon in my next one. Bye!